excitement levels through the roof. We've been working for about 2 weeks into our skill hours that the NCAA permits. So I think we have the guys, and the goal of that is just kind of see where they are coming off the break, and then get their bodies ready for practice, which is always more intense than the skill hours. And then, just like we start today with some inter-squad games, a lot of guys look good in the bullpen. A lot of guys look good in the batting cages or in batting practice, but that's not where the game's played. The game's played, on the field and against competition. So the inter-squad games will tell us more than we know today, or than we knew yesterday. We'll know today. And then certainly when we get to the real games, that's when we really find out where we are and where we have to get better and that kind of thing.
What did fall camp tell you about your pitching staff, especially in the terms of starting rotation, and where do you feel like y'all are at heading into these inter-squad games in camp?
Yeah, I don't try to hide things. It's definitely a question mark when you lose, Bryce Miller, and you lose Dustin Signs, and maybe the most valuable player, not just pitcher on the team, and Jaws last year. Those are huge pieces, and so for us, Nathan Detmer got great starts last year. He's definitely improved. I think Micah Dallas has pitched, in a variety of roles at Texas Tech, and so he certainly has experience in doing that. Ryan Prager, a young freshman, has he's super talented and has a great future. Trying not to put too much on him if we can help it. And then there's there's probably 3 to 4 other guys that, to be real frank with you, they need to step forward, and they need to, separate themselves from the pack, and that's what we're going to try to find in the next 3 weeks. And from a bullpen standpoint, I think there's a lot of pieces down there, but they're super inexperienced. I think when you look through, with the exception of a couple transfers and Joseph Menifee, there's a lot of freshmen and redshirt freshmen that don't have a whole lot of experience, and they're going to have to pitch. So that's going to be, we just need to get them healthy, get to the games, and then find out who can handle it, when it really counts, when the lights come on. But I think there's pieces. It's just a matter of putting it together. Certainly not the most ideal situation. You would rather have, each year, at least one surefire, experienced pitcher. Nathan Detmer would be the closest to that with SEC experience in terms of a starter. Micah Dallas would be that in terms of college baseball in general.
And Nathan took that next step up in Savannah too, didn't he, over the summer?
He did, and he's really, today will be a big day. This is his first inter-squad, but his simulated games, his bullpens have all been vastly improved. We actually ended up shutting him down a little bit in the fall because he was getting tired. He pitched all summer. His stuff was going a little bit backwards. If we're going to have any kind of positive, postseason, and get into a postseason, stuff like that, Detmer has to be a huge part of it. So we shut him down, and I think that really helped him getting back.
You've done this before, but it's been a while. What's the most difficult part of the transition to a new program and beginning to build a new program?
I just think, defining a culture with a group of players that, and standards as to how we want to do things. And to be real frank with you, it's gone really well. And Coach Childress is to be credited for that, because there was already, good structure. There was already good discipline. There was already good accountability. This wasn't a program that, was some jackleg program where kids were running roughshod and getting to do what they wanted to do. Coach Childress ran a super successful, disciplined program, and with a few tweaks on just things that are more individual to us, versus his staff. It's been great. And another thing is the transfers. We got super lucky. When you take 10 or 11 transfers, there's normally some baggage that comes with a couple of those guys. And to be 100% honest, not one guy has it. They're all superior kids, guys that I say, the greatest compliment I can give a player is it's who you want your daughter to marry and who you want your son to grow up to be. And, every single one of those kids is that. And so, makeup-wise, nobody's been punched in the face yet. So, and we'll certainly have that coming. But I like where they are, in that culture environment.
With that being said, you said you like where the culture is. What is the focus of this early part of camp right now?
Evaluation. Number one, just getting the pitchers in the games, building up their pitch count, the guys we think have a chance to be starting pitchers, and give them a chance to compete for jobs. but that's just for the first weekend, even the teams that make it to the College World Series and play in the final championship series, the lineup at the start of the season is never the lineup at the end of the season, right? There's always changes, and then it's crazy how over the course of a year, especially in tournament play, the championship doesn't come down to the first, second, and third pitcher. It comes down to that ninth or 10th guy who hasn't pitched in a while, who you need to go pitch great for you. So, that's that's a conversation we have with every team every single year is you have to stay the course. If you're not one of those guys that's playing on February 18th, and you just keep going. And certainly health and keeping, Austin Bose, the only returning 300 hitter on our team, is still coming back from a pretty bad back injury. And I think he's going to be ready for opening day, but he's not playing in the games yet. I think we're a week or so away from that, maybe 2 weeks. But it's just things like that we just have to ride through. Season's long, and we're going to take our punches, and we have to be able to handle that.
From what you've seen so far, how would you say, the talent level of this team is, and the readiness for this squad to compete in the SEC?
Yeah, I think the talent level is plenty good enough to compete in the Southeastern Conference. Whether it's good enough to win a championship remains to be seen. You would have to have a lot of what ifs come true, to be honest. But there's plenty of talent there, but it's just a lot of inexperience. And playing in the SEC and the SEC West is not exactly the way you want to build your experience, but it's the only way we have. And offensively, I can tell you this: there's never been a good baseball team without a good catcher. There's never been a good baseball team without a good shortstop. And we have a very good catching situation in Troy Claunch and the other guys that play back there. And then I can't tell you how grateful I am that Kalai Harrison is an Aggie. You talk about a steady, winning, self-aware player. In my 31 years of college coaching, at least to this point, he's as good as I've coached. And, you don't go to Omaha 5 or 6 times like we've done without really good shortstops, and Kalai's right there with all of them.
Coach, you mentioned Claunch. Since he's been here, how has he fit in with the pitching staff, and what has he given you from a catching standpoint? Yeah, just superior human, superior leader. He has track record, first team all Pac-12 catcher. He's played in the College World Series. He's played on national championship teams. He's played behind and with the first pick of the draft, and Adley Rushman. I think he was the first pick, or in the first couple picks. And he's the perfect combination of confident and yet humble. And he's done a really good job of coming into a situation with some veteran players and just kind of easing into things, and then gaining the respect of his teammates, especially the pitching staff, to where he can go back there and they listen to him. And so he's like another coach on the field. When he's finished playing, we're still going to have him around the program while he's finishing his degree, because he brings a lot to the table.
For the guys that did get experience last year, coach, as freshmen, how big is that for them? Like the Kalais and Logan Britts that are coming back for you?
Yeah, it's on a team full of guys that don't have SEC experience. Those are the guys you're going to lean on. Logan and Boast and Kalai, and even Brett Minnick before he got hurt. Taylor Smith got some at bats, and the pitchers in Menifee, Detmer, for sure. So. It's good for me. I've never coached in this league consistently. We only have one coach on the staff, and Nolan Kane. So a lot of questions to ask him. But all we can do is just start playing and then see what happens. Pray for good weather.
Has the SEC and the challenge that'll present changed at all the way that you look at coaching, or the way that you look at program building?
Well, I think it's going to have to. I think, I don't handle losing well, and I'm not very patient. And when you hear, some of my very best and most long-term friends, like Mike Bianco, that have coached in this league, and you hear them talk, and even Coach Childress, the conversations we would have about, hey man, if you can just get to 15 or 17 wins in this league, that's, in the Big 12, it was more about, getting, playing 24 games, trying to be 17-7 or 18-6, and that doesn't happen a whole lot in this conference. So I think that's, I think everybody knows, or everybody that's been through it knows what a grind it is day to day. And I think for my own coaching style, I'm preparing myself for that in I'm still going to hold the kids accountable, but just I think the ability to remain positive and move on to the next day is, we talk about that all the time, but when you actually get presented with that challenge, that's going to be my biggest thing, and I've made a full-time commitment to that. Not that I anticipate this. I mean, I'm hoping to win them all, but I don't think that's happened. So, it's a process that I'm going to have to go through, to be real frank with you, no doubt about it.
Coach, you have a premier two-sport athlete on campus now. I know there's a lot that goes on when they change the rule from 20 hours in each sport to 20 hours total practice. How do you work that in with Connor and Jimbo and the conversations y'all have to have about his ability to play, or if it's something that he's not going to do this season?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, Connor's, at the last conversation we had, is he's focused 100% on football. And, I think there'll be times maybe once he's a guy supposed to be in his senior year of high school. So he's trying to figure out, I'm sure, life right now. I'm just trying to figure out where to go to class and where he's supposed to be and what time he's supposed to be there. And to throw another thing in there would be tough on him. But I think we haven't really talked about this much. He knows that he's more than welcome down here anytime. He's got a locker. If he needs to come down, he just wants to come down on his own and hit in the batting cages, he can do that. But he's focused on football. Coach Fisher has been awesome to work with. And, I've been doing this 31 years and had some really good two-sport players, but it comes down to the player. If the player wants to play, he'll play. If that's what he was told in recruiting, he'll play. And sometimes that happens, and sometimes one sport, takes precedence over another, and it evolves into just that sport. And so we all know what drives the engine around here, and I'm supportive of that. There's no bigger Aggie football fan than I am, and there's no bigger Connor Wegman football fan than me, other than maybe Coach Fisher. So, but yeah, he's welcome to be here, but not until he's ready, and not until Coach Fisher is comfortable with that. But Coach Fisher has at least said to me, hey, whatever he wants to do, I'm supportive. And I think he's won 2 national titles, and both of them with football, baseball guys, right? So hopefully that can happen.
Did you see him later this spring? Or not at all this spring, or maybe next year?
Yeah, we have no plans. To be frank with you, my only conversation with Connor has been he wants to really focus on football this spring. He wants to get down here when he can, and even if it's just by himself, and he's welcome to do that. And then he'll come be in baseball next year. But we're going to leave that door open. Sometimes a guy like that gets competitive juices and changes his mind. So we'll just see how his semester goes academically and spring practice and all those things. But he's welcome to be a part of us now, or he's welcome next fall.
Coach, you unveiled new jerseys last night. What was that like for the guys who got to participate in the fashion show? What all went into the design of the jerseys, and if you have a favorite, share that with us.
Yeah, I mean, it went great. First of all, I think the 280 or so ladies in attendance enjoyed that, and our guys definitely hammed it up, as I knew they would. That was a good night. Into designing the jerseys, I just think that I just went back through the annals of A&M baseball, and look, I'm not a big trendy uniform guy. I'll try a few things, but especially at a place like this. I just went back through. All you got to do is walk that one hallway back there, and you see some of the most classic, greatest uniforms in the history of college baseball. And so, took a lot of those. And my only thing is I'm not in good enough shape to wear a V-neck jersey, so it makes me look a little more portly than I am. So I didn't really want to wear a V-neck jersey. And then I know one big question is about the pants up and the pants down. And I'm a traditionalist by trade. Ultimately it is up to me, but kind of like a parent, I kind of pick my battles. And so we're going to have some uniforms where the kids have the freedom to wear their pants up or down. But we're also going to have like a Sunday uniform where everybody is in stirrups and stuff like that. So try to mix it in a little bit, give the kids a little bit of freedom on what they want to do. Nothing crazy. My favorite would definitely be the cream ones we're going to wear on Sunday with the old script Aggies and the stirrups. Yeah, that would definitely be my favorite. But we'll see what the record becomes in